Good evening, comrades. This is your brother, Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier 4D. Left off the last topic about loyalty to others, loyalty of those of our own. Today is a special topic on the Blood Avenger. The Blood Avenger. And the Blood Avenger is an Old Testament term that's basically understood to be someone that is close, next of kin, or relative of someone whose life has been taken by a murderer. The Blood Avenger began sometime in the scriptures back in the book of Genesis, and it began when Cain had slain his brother Abel. And the Lord visited Cain and said, "Do you know where your brother is?" Cain lied and said, "No, I don't. Am I my brother's keeper?" It didn't seem that the Lord had given him an answer directly, but he said he hears his blood crying out from the ground that has received it, because he has been slain by you, O Cain. And now retribution must be paid, and you shall go about as a vagabond or as a fugitive, and people will seek your life. So Cain responded back in the end of the 4th chapter of Genesis, saying that I'm doomed, I'm destined to fail. Everybody's going to be putting a price on my head, and I'm going to die. So what it is, it is what it is. And the Lord responded, not necessarily. He that seeks your life will be reproached sevenfold. Now, the Lord passes a punishment or a consequence on Cain, but yet he shows mercy that I'm not going to make it easy for man just to approach you, because it'll be 7 times on him if he should take your life. But it doesn't mean that he may not take your life. And so going back to the title, The Avenger of Blood, it is natural. The way nature is and the way God has set the creation up, it is natural. And the fall of man, it is natural for men to seek retribution or to seek justice when their loved one's life is taken. You answer to the Avenger of Blood. The Blood Avenger is that closest relative, that father, that mother, that uncle, that next of kin, that's scarred and wounded and hurt because someone has taken their life, and the blood has been received, their blood has been received into the earth, and the earth cries out. The blood cries out from the earth for justice. It is not over because he's dead. Not necessarily over when justice is served, but it is recompensed. That when justice is served, that we can move on with our lives. And so this topic is something that I believe that the Lord has been in my spirit, and it has been laid on my heart to try to share it. And I had to go away for approximately 2 weeks to think about whether I should do this or whether I should share, how I should go about it. And I have many things that I've jotted down in notes, but we're going to let this flow. The Blood Avenger. When somebody takes someone's life, and the law of the Old Testament used to make provisions for how it happened, whether it was done out of mischief, recklessness, or a mistake or accident. Regardless of whether it was a mistake or deliberate, there was retribution. If the avenger of blood, which naturally would seek your life out under the Old Testament law, eye for an eye, life for a life, tooth for a tooth, that avenger of blood can kill this person when they find them if it had been unjustly committed. You're at the mercy of the blood avenger. But there was a place of refuge that a person could go until the councils met, a city of refuge that they could stay before until they had a hearing to make sure that it was justified. And if it was justified, that person was killed for taking the life deliberately. Now, if it was an accident, that person could still go to refuge. You'll see that in the book of Numbers. You'll see that in the book of Genesis. They can go to a city of refuge, and they're probably, since it was an accident, the avenger of blood will still want to require the life of the person, but they may be protected by the law, but they have to be quarantined, or what you call sent to some other city where that healing can take place and people can be separate so that nobody would take vengeance and kill you because of what you've done accidentally. But why does God set these things up? Because he, as a God of mercy and a God of justice, wants people to feel that they have retribution, they have a recourse, they have a place to file grievance for their grieving of a lost loved one. And that it's a standard that keeps the murderous cycle from perpetuating, because justice is there to deliver. Justice is given into the hands of the representative of that generation, of that time, of that region, to take the life of one who has taken a life. A murder is different in the Hebrew from one who kills. Murder is an intentional, malicious act. And this is what they need to be able to prove. Once they can prove that, then the slayer or the person who took the life will be killed themselves. And it was considered just, because you have to think before you act, think before you do. That when you do something like that to take a person's life, your whole life will change. Now, the season that we're living in, this is a time for a message as this. It doesn't matter if you are Joe Blow on the street side, homeless, no shelter, walking, raggedy clothes wearing, low life, or you a badge, shiny badge wearing, blue uniform donned, weapon carrying policeman. When you cross the line to do mischief or to do things unjustly in the name of the law, the blood avenger is who you have to answer to. The blood avenger is who you have to prove that what you did was justified. And if you did it maliciously and you try to use the law and lie, and the system even backs you up, it is almost sevenfold worse. Numbers 35:19. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death. Brother Soldier, you saying that they should do this? No, I'm saying what the law had said. And when you refuse to give the people justice because the man that did the murderous act happens to be wearing a blue uniform with a badge, or the low-life scum that you call walking in the street, raggedy clothes wearing, Stacy Adams, old turned up Converse, murdering dude, both committed the same act, both should receive the same justice. They both will answer to the blood avenger. It is not over. And when a system decides to yield to lies, then we go to the book of Proverbs that says in chapter 6 of verse 16 through 19. And I will say it off the top of my head. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, yea, 7 are an abomination to him. Some of those that be hands that shed innocent blood, feet that are swift in running to mischief, they that soweth discord, lying and turning things and facts around to make it fit their narrative. False witnesses that speak of lies, getting people to back up the wrongful stuff that you're doing, to change the cameras, to make the cameras say something that you wanted to say when you know you did what you did in malicious intent. The God of history has already said, vengeance is mine, I shall repay. Does that mean we have to wait to the end of the world for you to repay? No. God has the last say so. God has already set it up. And so when you do and you sow seeds of discord, you lie, you bear false witness, you set the stage for the blood avenger to seek you. Is he justified? In some instances he will be, but the laws of the land are written into such that if you take the law into your own hands, they're going to apprehend you. But he may make that sacrifice. That's his call. He feels like he could go to his death for that. That's his call. That's not your call. You might have some decisions in your actions, but you don't necessarily have control of all the consequences that come out of it. There have been men that have been hanged, killed, lynched for doing what's right. All throughout history. So where does the one who does wrong, that gets hanged, lynched, and killed for doing wrong, where does he even appear? Nowhere. So the blood avenger has his proper just course in seeking out justice. And those that be the servants of the people who are supposed to administer justice and see that their justice is carried out are to be accountable to the blood avenger so that the blood avenger can go on about his life. But if you keep doing the abominations that are spoken of in the 6th chapter of Proverbs, verses 16 to 19, bearing false witness, sowing discord, shedding innocent blood, these judgments shall be turned against you, and you will be looking over your shoulder like Cain. You'll be looking over your shoulder wondering when they're going to come for you, if they should decide to come for you. Hopefully the justice system will work, but if it doesn't, it is already prophetic, it is already known that the tables will turn against you and the scales will turn against you. You will not have life as you once knew it. And if it was worth it to you to do and to take an innocent life in the name of the law, or if it was worth it to you to take your brother's life like Cain slew Abel, you black on black criminal, the blood of your brother cries out from the ground because of the things you've taken him from his own mother and his own father, because you saw it fit. And what did you do it over? Cain did it over some kind of evil, envy, and some kind of disgust that he had against his brother for his offering being accepted and God didn't accept his, but he could have done it right. So I'm going to close here, and I'm going to pick up at part 2 of the blood avenger. Man, know thyself. Peace, love, and God bless.